What is up, my dog's Lawson here. We are currently at the Bass Pro. Now, the game plan for today is I'm gonna go inside and buy around 50 bucks worth of lures that I would use in salt water to try to catch redfish, snook, tarpon, trout, black drum, you know, whatever. And people ask me all the time, you know, what lure should I throw when I'm trying to get into it? And this is basically gonna be that. I'm challenging myself to buy some different brands that I normally am always using, and we're gonna go see if we can catch some fish, and hopefully this will help you guys learn, like, you know, say you got a Christmas gift, you know, of a couple 50 bones, or, you know, your wife said, you know what, go spend 50 bucks and tackle. You'll have a guide to know what you should buy, and we're gonna go see if we can catch some fish on what we get. So let's head on in. All right, we are gonna go get on the water and we're gonna go over the lures that we brought. The boat ramp is crazy right now. There's kids doing TikTok dances and multiple boats that are like broken down in the slips. So we're done with this. We're getting on the water and we'll go pull off and we're gonna go talk about the lures that we got. Alrighty, we have pulled up on a beautiful beach right here on an island. We're gonna go through our lures that we bought, and then we're gonna get fishing, see if we can catch some redfish, snook, trout, tarpon, whatever wants to bite. Game time. So I've grabbed a handful of lures that isn't stuff that I normally throw, or maybe I haven't thrown in a while, because I want this to be a challenge with myself to maybe try some new things that I normally don't, and also some more budget friendly things that are gonna last longer. And I didn't include any hooks or jig heads in the price of any of this stuff, because I'm assuming if you're gonna go out fishing, you might already have some jig heads or hooks laying around, but if not, you maybe just add 10 more bucks to your budget here. But first thing we're gonna start off with is a Z-Man shrimp right there. Different brand, haven't really used Z-Man that much. A lot of the stuff I got today is Z-Man because I know it's really popular, but I don't use it a lot because the Elastec stuff lasts a long time. It's a really good bang for your buck, and all the Z-Man stuff was actually really, really cheap. So, shrimp. Two different color paddle tails right here in the Z-Man Minnow Z, or one's a diesel minnow, one's a minnow Z. Root beer chartreuse, one of the best dirty water colors inshore of all time. I don't care where you are, if the water is slightly dirty or really dirty, root beer chartreuse is one of the best colors of all time. It catches everything. All right, diesel minnow in a pinfish color, a little bit bigger. This is more for my flats fishing. These flats that I'm on, I know there's a lot of pinfish, there's a lot of little sand perch, little pilchards, white baits, and that's great for trout, redfish, snook. There we go. We got a Z-Man scented paddle. So scented bait could be good for redfish, but also a bigger, about 5-inch paddle that I'm gonna use to skip up underneath structure to try to find some snook and redfish that might be tucked away up in there. Another goofy, weird bait, the DOA cow. Now, I think it is essential if you're gonna go out and fish that you have some type of fluke style bait, and this kind of falls in that classification. So maybe it's just a Zoom super fluke. Z-Man makes a ton of flukes. Every company makes a fluke basically. DOA makes regular flukes, and they make these stupid little things that used to be called airheads until they got a cease and desist from airheads, like the candy, and now they're called a cow swim bait. But it's just a weird paddle tail fluke style bait. And then some gulp shrimp right here, just an absolute classic. If you are gonna go fish and you don't know what to do, you don't know what to throw, you almost can't go wrong with bringing a gulp shrimp if you want to at least just catch something. It might be a catfish, it might be a pufferfish, or it might be a 40-pound black drum. These work really well, but they also catch a lot of trash. And then to top the whole thing off, a Topwater, skitter walker, Rapala, and bone. Just a solid Topwater that is good hardware, a good size. Like a 4-inch Topwater is a really good medium size lure where you could have a 20-inch trout eat it, or you could have a 40-inch snook eat it. It's pretty good. All right, so that is our whole entire smorgasbord of lures. I'm gonna get rigged up really quick because I was gonna do it at the ramp, but it was literally insane. We're gonna get rigged up and then we're gonna start fishing and see if we can catch some big reds, snook, and trout. All right. We are on a beautiful mangrove head with a nice flat that pushes up into the mangroves. Trout and reds can be hanging off the edge. You got reds and snook that might be up in the groves. We're throwing the scented paddler right now here on my Shimano Corrado DC. And I actually just put 25-pound fluoro on the spool. I have a 40-pound leader on top of that. Now, it's kind of a weird thing. You don't see people using straight fluoro in saltwater very much, but I like to experiment with that every once in a while. And I also use this rod a ton for throwing swim baits and jigs in freshwater while I'm bass fishing. So it's kind of a a win-win here. We're gonna try to flip this paddler up under the groves, really get it in the grundle, and see if we can pull out a red or a snook. I really, genuinely like the action of this paddle tail a lot, man. It's has like a slow float to it, the Z-Man stuff does, and with my weighted swim bait hook that's in this, it has like a perfect slow sink that I think is going to be ridiculously good up around the mangroves. Bonnet head right here. I mean, I might catch a bonnet head just because we haven't caught a fish yet. It'd be fun. Could be a good goof. He's gonna crush this. Oh, doggy. Or not. Oh my. I can't tell if that's a huge redfish or if that's a shark. Oh, it's a shark, okay. There's a fish on that super light jig. I don't know if that's trout or a snook. If it's a trout, it's a pretty good fish. If it's a snook, it's an okay sized snook, but we're running real light leader here. Like I said, I'm really surprised, man. I thought these fish were gonna be up in the groves. It's a snook. All right. I thought these fish were gonna be up in the mangroves, but they're off like 10, 20 feet. Sometimes it just takes a little bit of like observation to realize what's going on, you know? All right, little snook right there, hooked right in the corner of the mouth. If he was a trout, I'd be a little more stoked, but we are now on the board. We'll just toss Buddy gently to the side. Taking some time to really observe what's going on. Sometimes you can get caught in your head and just hammer away at something and hope it works, and sometimes it will. But I was seeing fish off the mangroves, and I started casting off the mangroves, pulling out a little bit deeper into the flat. Got bit, caught the snook. Let's keep the ball rolling, see if we can maybe catch a red or a bigger snook or maybe a big donkey trout. Oh. There's a fish. Can't tell if this is a real heavy fish or what, because I have the light rod on right now, man. Oh my goo. Big old trout. Ooh. Stay down, brother. Stay down. He scarfed it. That's what we're kind of looking for, my friends. He hit it. I missed the hook set and he came back and just scarfed it. Oh man. Big trout. Real big trout. That's a good one. Probably about a 23-inch trout maybe. Really, really thick. I mean, that is a hog. That is what we've been looking for today. I was really hoping to catch a big trout or a nice red, and we got the good trout. Unfortunately, this trout choked that swim bait really, really bad. Like, I don't even know how that's possible. It's literally swallowed inside of his stomach like an artificial. So we're gonna keep him and bring him home. I got a cooler full of ice, so it works out. We're gonna throw him in the cooler. You're allowed one trout over 20 inches, and that would be him. You know, is what it is. It's cool, get to bring home some fish to the family. Bummer to have a big trout like this die, unfortunately. I really like letting the big ones go. But you know what? We got some fish now for dinner. All right, back in action. We've handled our business with the trout. Put him out of his misery, give him a nice club in the head, and then pop the gills to get a lot of the blood out. Wrap them in a bag and threw them in a cooler full of ice. You know what? I really do like to release the big trout. I don't keep trout very often at all. But you know what? It's going to be a great meal for my wife and I. And you know what? It's a lot better than going to the store and buying a fish fillet. So, you know what? It's a bonus to the day. We got to get a big meaty trout that we're going to bring home and cook up. we're gonna try something a little out of left field here. Something you do not see in Florida very often, chatterbait using saltwater. Now, if you are purely a saltwater angler, if you've never heard of this, I'll forgive you. It's a bass lure called a bladed jig or a chatterbait. It has a blade on the front of it that makes a ton of vibration in the water. Really good in dirty, dirty water. And this water here probably has maybe 3 inches of visibility. And so that chatterbait's gonna make a ton of vibration. And it's not something you see used in Florida a lot, but in Louisiana and Texas, where they have those dirty marshes, they'll throw chatterbaits and catch very good redfish on it. And one of my biggest trout of all time was on a chatterbait. And when I went to Louisiana one time, I caught a bunch of redfish on it too. So we're gonna try this in this really dirty backwater bay here and see if a big redfish comes and smacks a chatterbait. Because I've been throwing that root beer chartreuse little minnow around, and that's the only thing I'm getting bit on. And I think it's solely because of the chartreuse, really. Now this bait I have here sticks out pretty good, but it's not as visible as that root beer chartreuse. Add the chatterbait to it though, and I think we might have a match made in heaven. Or we're gonna scare every fish within 20 yards of it that feels this vibration coming, and they're like, what the heck is happening? Oh my God, I just got rocked. No way, look at that, all that dirt that fish kicked up when it hit me. I think that fish hit me, got scared, and then swam off. Oh my God, huge follow-up on me. Oh, I was not paying attention. I was looking out to my left if I saw anything. Damn, on the chatterbait, huge wake. That had to be either a redfish or a big snook. Oh, that is what we were looking for on the chatterbait. He was on top of it. And I like stopped reeling and I looked to my right and he must have seen me or the boat or something. Blew it, blew it. Oh, that was a good eat. Good Lord. Man, I am just continually blown away by how far off these fish are on the mangrove head. I keep expecting them to be uptight and they're just not there. Oh, do not. What are you doing? Whoa. This is not even a big fish, man. He almost just broke me up on my boat. What a hound dog. All right. Little snook on the root beer chartreuse. We'll gently drop him in. This has truly been the winner of today. The root beer chartreuse paddle tail is the diesel minnow or the minnow Z. I don't know. It doesn't really matter, but a root beer chartreuse 3-inch to 3.5-inch paddle tail, can't go wrong. 1/4 ounce jig head. We're throwing 25-pound fluoro, which is pretty light for snook, but the area that I'm in is heavier reds and trout, and then there's some snook. So we're risking it for the biscuit to hopefully we get more bites with that lighter leader. But that has been dynamite. Shrimp getting eaten right there. Oh, God. I just freaking, so the shrimp getting eaten on top, and I flicked back there with the chatterbait, and a snook came up and cracked the chatterbait. It's a little one, but that might be the first snook I've ever caught on a chatterbait. Snook on the chatter. I should say snook lit on the chatter. Dude, he got me all types of confangled up in this thing. What in the heck? All right, the wind has really chopped up and it's getting a little overcast. So we're gonna throw on the skitter walker, the Topwater that we bought, and see if we can get like maybe a nice snook or a red to creep out of the mangroves and smash this Topwater wide open. It's a little early for a Topwater bite, but the conditions actually aren't too bad for it right now. fish. Can't tell if that might be a red. Oh, oh my gosh, dude. How? Why? But how? And why? Wasn't a very big fish, so I just was like trying to lock him down and reel him in. Pulled the hook. Dumb move of me. Don't do that. Do as I say, not as I do. They're eating the topwater good, just like I expected though. So, hoping with a little bit of consistency and keeping our head down and just slinging topwater, we could whack a good fish here in a minute. Oh my God, that was a huge trout. Oh Lord, big trout. Big trout, I think, or it was a redfish, but I think that was a trout, man. I'm kneeling down right now to make my profile smaller, so if that fish followed in my lure, he doesn't see me lording over top of him like that, you know? Oh, right where I thought he should be, too. Right in the corner of the sand flat. Oh, why am I so dumb? I thought he had it. Please be generous to me and come back for it. Oh, gosh, what the heck was that? He did in fact come back for it, but oh, it's a big trout. It's a big trout, dude. I just saw like the most beautiful purple back come out of the water. Dude, hit it 3 times and just never quite connected on it. That's not the most trout thing ever. I don't know what is, man. Dude, it's kind of spooky out here right now. I'm the only boat within miles. Ain't no one out in the water right now anymore. It's such a bummer. All I want to do is keep fishing, but we're about to get just blasted by a huge storm. And I think it's supposed to be like 20-mile-per-hour winds and I hear thunder rumbling. Oh, big eat on me. Come on. Dude, they're just like not really hitting it. Like they're just blowing up on it, but not really committing to it. Oh, gosh. I really wanted to catch a big one. Like, don't get me wrong, that trout that I caught was no slouch. We caught some little snook, had some good blow-ups from some big trout, hooked that redfish that just kind of rolled off from me being impatient. But I just felt like we were so close to unlocking something really great, and it was still an awesome day of fishing, but we're just so close to having like an epic day of a few of those big trout connected on Topwater. And if we had 20 more minutes to fish it out, but we are about to get blasted by a storm right now, and it is getting nasty out here. All right, we gotta run back to the house. Let's go. Dude, it is straight gray out here.
Once we got back home, it was time to start cooking our beautiful trout. He gave us 2 beautiful fillets. One got packed away, and one was going to be used tonight to make some sushi. So, got some olive oil and salt and pepper on the trout, and we're just going to barely simmer this thing in a pan and get it really tender. Meanwhile, got some short grain rice cooking. All this sushi making kit that I got was actually like $12 off Amazon. I'm sure it's a piece of crap, but it works.
What the heck?
I cut the trout in thin strips once it was done cooking. That's going to be laid into our roll, and then we're going to spread rice across the top of our seaweed roll on top of our rolling mat. Once we have the rice done, we're going to gently lay our fish and avocado, and then top it off with a line of sriracha if you like a little bit of spice. Now, I plan to do a much more in-depth video about a catch and cook and making some sushi in the future when I get better at it. I'm still really much learning and have a lot to go, but it is really fun and such a simple way to make some fish go a long way.